Some of rock's biggest radio staples were hated by the bands who made them. Forced by labels, resented on stage, and played through clenched teeth, these songs became impossible to escape. Fans loved them, radio wouldn't quit, and the artists had to live with hits they never wanted. Number 10. Warrant, Cherry Pie. Cherry Pie was written in about 15 minutes, but not as some grand creative statement. Warrant's second album was basically finished, with Uncle Tom's Cabin expected to lead the charge, when Columbia decided it did not hear an obvious hit. Johnny Lane was pushed to come up with something more radio-friendly, and the result followed him for the rest of his life. Lane was never comfortable with what Cherry Pie did to Warrant's image. The video didn't help. Bobby Brown, the car, the whipped cream, the whole spectacle. MTV loved it, radio picked it up, and the single hit the top 10. One odd twist, the lead guitar solo was not even played by Warrant. It was C.C. DeVille from Poison. Years later, Lane pushed back on the idea that this one song defined him. Unfortunately, the industry had already made its decision. Coming up next is a band handed a hit that made them look like everything they were trying not to be. Number 9. Heart. All I Want to Do Is Make Love to You. Ann and Nancy Wilson built Heart on real rock credentials. They had a catalog that earned genuine respect in a genre that did not hand it out easily to women. All I Want to Do Is Make Love to You was not their song. It was written by Robert John Mutt Lang, originally intended for Don Henley, and Hart recorded it under serious pressure. Ann Wilson later made clear why it bothered her. The lyric tells the story of a woman who picks up a stranger, uses him to father a child, and leaves him without the truth. All I wanna do is make love to you. For a band that had fought to be taken seriously on its own terms, that was a brutal fit. The song still went to number 2 in America. Hart later said they had sworn it off because it represented everything they wanted to get away from. And this wasn't just interview damage control. Hart largely kept the original version out of their live show for years, but radio didn't care. Next, a hard-rocking power pop band records the softest hit of their career and watches it become its only number 1. Number 8. Cheap Trick, The Flame. Cheap Trick was a power pop and hard rock band from Rockford, Illinois, built on songs like Surrender and I Want You to Want Me. The Flame was not that band at full force. It was a polished power ballad written by outside songwriters Bob Mitchell and Nick Graham, and Cheap Trick recorded it under pressure from Epic Records to deliver something that could compete on mainstream radio. Commercially, it worked better than anything else they had ever released. The Flame hit number 1 in 1988 and stayed there for 2 weeks. But the band's frustration was never really about whether it was a good recording. Rick Nielsen later clarified that the problem was being forced into it after they had already cut other material. The rest of Cheap Trick's catalog sounded like a band chasing its own instincts. The Flame, glossy and unmistakably late 80s, sounded like the label finally getting its way. Stick around, number 7 involves a song that almost did not make the album and ended up defining the entire band's commercial identity. Number 7, Kiss, Beth.
Oh Beth, what can I do?
Peter Criss did not write Beth as a Kiss song. He and Stan Penridge had written an earlier version called Beck years before, back in their pre-Kiss days. It started as a song about the tension between a musician's life and the person waiting at home. Producer Bob Ezrin slowed it down, reshaped it, and helped turn it into Beth. Even then, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons reportedly wanted it off Destroyer. Manager Bill Aucoin fought to keep it there. When Beth became the B-side of Detroit Rock City, everyone assumed the hard rock song was the point.
Beth, what can I do?
Well, radio found the ballad instead. DJ started flipping the single, request lines lit up, and Beth was reissued as the A-side. It reached number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming Kiss's biggest U.S. hit. The rest of the band never fully embraced what that meant. Kiss were fire, blood, pyrotechnics, and theater. Beth was Chris singing over Bob Ezrin's piano, Dick Wagner's acoustic guitar, and an orchestra. The softest thing in their catalog became the hit they could not outrun.
Beth, what can I do?
Coming up, one of the most famous bands in history, and a #1 single that exposed the growing divide between its two main songwriters. Number 6, The Beatles, Hello Goodbye.
I don't know why you say goodbye, I say hello.
John Lennon did not hide his feelings about Hello Goodbye. He thought it was lightweight wordplay, and what really bothered him was that McCartney's song became the A-side over I Am the Walrus, which Lennon considered the far more significant work. Hello Goodbye went to #1 in both the United States and the United Kingdom in late 1967. I Am the Walrus was stuck on the B-side, while the brighter, more commercial song became the hit.
You say goodbye, and I say hello.
The irony was that beneath the pop surface was a sharp studio construction, with piano, organ, layered percussion, Ringo's punchy drums, and George Martin scored viola parts. Lennon still heard the wrong song winning. McCartney never shared the resentment. He wrote it, liked it, and later framed it as a song about opposites and duality. That divide says a lot about the tensions already building inside the Beatles by 1967.
You say goodbye, and I say hello.
Up next is a band that wrote a filler track in minutes and watched it hijack the identity of an entire album. Number 5, Black Sabbath, Paranoid.
I need someone to show me the things in life that I can.
Paranoid was written in about 20 minutes because Black Sabbath needed a short track to fill out the album. Tony Iommi came up with the riff on his battered Gibson SG, Geezer Butler quickly wrote the lyrics, and Ozzy was reading them as he sang. Nobody thought they were making the band's calling card, but the label heard a single. Paranoid was released before the album and reached number 4 in the UK.
Make a joke and I will sigh and you will laugh and I will.
The record had originally been planned as War Pigs, but once the single took off, the label retitled the album Paranoid to match the commercial momentum. That is where the resentment came in. Iommi later remembered seeing people dancing when Sabbath played it and deciding they should avoid singles for a while. Paranoid was a filler track accident that became the song most people used to introduce Black Sabbath. One more before the top 3. Number 4 is a song the band nearly left off the album entirely. Number 4, Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water. The band themselves did not think much of Smoke on the Water when they recorded it. Roger Glover later said they thought it was mid-tempo and boring, and that it almost got left off Machine Head. Their real promotional energy went into Never Before, the song they believed had single potential. It barely made the UK top 40 and did nothing in America. Smoke on the Water sat as an album track for more than a year before American FM radio kept pulling it out and playing it on its own. Warner Brothers finally released it as a single in 1973, and it reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. The riff became one of the most learned guitar parts in rock history. The track Deep Purple, nearly ignored, became the one song nobody could stop playing. We are in the top 3 now. Number 3, Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Well, whatever, never mind.
Kurt Cobain spent much of Nirvana's mainstream period explaining why Smells Like Teen Spirit was not the whole story. He preferred Drain You, a song he said he never got tired of playing, and he knew the hit had swallowed the band's identity. The video cost less than $50,000 to make, and changed to MTV anyway. It premiered on 120 Minutes, went into heavy rotation, while the single climbed to number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. For most bands, that would be the dream. For Cobain, it became a trap. He reportedly started messing with the song live, teasing the riff, mangling the tempo, or undercutting the version audiences expected. The crowd sang the real one back at him regardless. Nirvana played it for the last time on February 25, 1994 in Milan. Less than 6 weeks later, Cobain was gone. The song never stopped playing. Two left. Number 2 is a song written to impress one critic, and it ended up outgrowing the whole trick. Number 2, The Who, Pinball Wizard.
He's a pinball wizard, has to be a twist.
Pete Townsend wrote Pinball Wizard as a strategic move, not some pure flash of inspiration. Rock critic Nick Cohn had heard Tommy and told Townsend he did not hear a hit. Cohn also happened to love pinball, so Townsend worked the game into the story, and suddenly Tommy was not just deaf, dumb, and blind. He was unbeatable on the silver ball. The move worked beyond anything he expected. Pinball Wizard reached number 4 in the UK, number 19 in America, and became one of the most recognizable songs The Who ever released.
He's a pinball wizard, there has to be a twist.
Townsend's feelings were already complicated. He later called it clumsy and said he was embarrassed by the writing. But the public never heard a clumsy plot device. They heard an anthem, driven by that rapid-fire Gibson J200 acoustic attack. It was the trick that became the thesis, and radio never needed to know the difference.
Some place to be pinball.
And now, number 1. The song its singer came to see as overblown, that took shape over months, and that radio turned into the most mythologized ballad in rock history. Number 1. Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven.
Your head is humming out of won't go, in case you don't know.
Jimmy Page built Stairway to Heaven slowly, piecing the music together from ideas he had been carrying through 1970. Robert Plant's lyrics came later at Headley Grange, the old country house where Led Zeppelin worked on Led Zeppelin 4. Plant remembered sitting by the fire with Page, then taking a notepad away as the words started rolling fast. He eventually came to resent what those words became. Stairway to Heaven was never commercially released as a single in the United States or United Kingdom during Led Zeppelin's active career. The band wanted it heard as part of an album in context, not carved out for radio. But album-oriented FM radio had other plans.
There's a feeling I get when I look.
By the mid-1970s, the full 8 minutes had become a ritual on American rock radio. The famous 3 million airplay figure is hard to pin down exactly, but the broader truth is not. Stairway became a permanent fixture. Plant found the adulation disproportionate, thought Zeppelin made more interesting music, and eventually struggled to relate to the song's abstract lyrics. The irony is brutal. The ballad its singer outgrew became the measuring stick for every rock epic that followed. Led Zeppelin ended in 1980, but the double-neck Gibson, the 8-minute ritual, and Stairway to Heaven never really left the air.
Yes, there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run.
These bands made the songs. Radio made them inescapable. Which one was the band right to resent? Drop it in the comments. And if you made it this far, you're ready for the Backstage Classics trivia book. It's linked below.